everybody. It's Candace and Carl here, and it's been 3 long weeks since we've done the live update, but a lot has happened. I mean, a lot. Yes. And so, Carl, why don't you go ahead and share we talked about your travels before, how you're going boom, 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 all these different places, and you made it to each place you were supposed to.
On time.
And on time. So that was good. Yep. So tell us, just give us some highlights from the last 3 weeks.
Okay. Pray for Miss Candace. She's not feeling good, even though she's like sounding perky now. She's feeling a little bit down. So pray for Miss Candace's health. It started off with Raleigh, North Carolina. Flew into Raleigh. It was on the Steve Noble radio show, which turned out really, really good. He's now talking with us. He'd like us to be on there on a recurring basis, which is very cool. Totally different audience than I think that what we have. We had the bus there and had conversation, people, walking by. And full disclosure, I got there, I was beat like a drum, man. I was sleeping in the van, and Billy was like talking to folks. But I did get some conversation, but not that many, because I was beat, man. From Richmond, we drove up from Raleigh, we drove up to Richmond, and that was the home educator, HEAV,
right.
HEAV homeschool conference, and oh my, guys, it would take me literally 20-30 minutes to give you all the updates from there. The response from the kids was beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, just so encouraging. I think a downside to me was the fact that they couldn't take any more kids. The room was full. And so that was frustrating to me because, man, I so want that younger generation. So if they ask us to come back, we need your prayers, because we're going to try and do some things very different next time. We need a much bigger room to go after this younger generation. So we've been kicking ideas around, but we'll see. They might not like what I did. Who knows? They may not invite us back. But if they do, we really want to try to do things a little bit different. The bus was huge there. I mean, it was huge. You just can't believe the conversations that we had. I mean, my highlight probably would have been the young man when we checked into the hotel that we were staying at. We did a mic'd up video. I can't remember which number it is. If you go to what is it, Debunked Bus?
Yeah, the group. If you join the Facebook group, Debunked Bus group.
Yeah, if you join, you can do it from anywhere, right? You just type in Debunked Bus.
Yeah, you can search for the group. Yep.
And then ask to join the group, and you're going to see all the videos. That's where they go up.
Yeah, you can see them on our YouTube channel too. So you can look there too. Yeah.
So go to YouTube/Reasons for FOR Hope. Spell that out. Or, as always, we talk about the text Stay Bold, 1 word, 2 words, to 51555, and they go up there as well.
Yeah.
But you can see all the interviews that we've had, because Richmond was super good. It's a really good conversation with this young man. A little sad in that the last time I got to talk with him, he was working. So, you got to be respectful of people. Sure. They're working. I mean... And I don't want to interfere with that, because he's trying to make a living. And I had asked him the night before when he was off and we were able to do a long interview. I said, at the end of it, I said, would you watch some of the Debunked videos and talk with me tomorrow? And he said, yes, I will. So I found him the next day. Did you watch the Debunked videos? I did. And he said, man, I just can't argue with it. I just can't argue with it. And that's when cars started pulling in and he had to take off, so I couldn't follow up with. So I would ask you to pray that Aaron would give me a shout, because I gave him my contact information. I said, Aaron, I care, man. Shoot me, contact me.
Yeah.
Keep talking. So, but the whole thing, the whole Richmond, the whole homeschool conference, we couldn't ask for better
conversations.
And it was great.
Good.
From there, we drove up to Washington, D.C. Man, Washington, D.C., what did we do? It's just...
You spoke at the church
I spoke in Shenandoah Junction, West Virginia. Wow. I mean, again, it's like, guys, I don't know if you've been watching what's been going on with this ministry over the last couple of years, but if you've been around a while, things are interesting. There's really a lot of hunger, just really good responses. It's connecting. It's really connecting with people. And it's like, it just seems like there's like this, we're in our sweet spot. I mean, the bus is killing it. The conversations on the street, killing it, because I always felt that would, because, our heart's always been, get out and challenge the church to get up and get bold. And then, secondarily is really, our primary focus is trying to get the church out of their comfort zone and get them out of the pew sitting business.
Yeah. And
then you can reach the lost like that. And I'm kind of seeing that's what the bus has allowed us to do, because now it's like, guys, we're not just talking about this. We're not just yeah. Come on, let's go do it. Come do it. We'll show you.
Yeah.
Just in the course of conversation, what happens. And so that happened in Washington. I had to fly out of Washington to go down to Myrtle Beach, but Eric and Billy were there in Washington, and they got some great interviews. Again, watch them on the on the Debunked bus.
Yeah, downtown Washington, D.C.
Downtown Washington, D.C. From there, Myrtle Beach, I flew up to New York. New York was awesome. Billy did an amazing job. He went in early, and he got a parking spot literally across the street from the American Museum of Natural History.
Which is not an easy task,
because
we have a truck, and then we have a trailer which is carrying the Debunked bus, and then we have the Debunked bus, and so it's not just like this small, like, oh, we got to go park our Debunked bus. No, it's a big deal.
He had to find a place to store all that, but then he got the bus off the trailer and then found this spot.
Cool.
Literally right across the street. I mean, from the museum, American Museum of Natural History, which is like, ooh, like the history museum. And so when we came later on, man, the food trucks were all around us. I mean, we had parked right in their spot. And but what was so cool is the one that parked on the street was right behind us, and then the others were up on the sidewalk next to us. And the guy that was literally right next to us, 6-8 inches away, turned out his name was Bill. And Eric got a great interview with him. I did a little Facebook Live with him to begin with that you may have seen. But Bill was Muslim, but not practicing. And we had this great conversation. In the morning, we're talking. He ends up wearing our Debunked bus shirt all day long. So everybody came up to get a smoothie. He's got Get Debunked on there. He got a Debunked t-shirt. And we had probably 4 or 5 conversations throughout the day. Then Eric did an interview with them, and like I said, you can see that on our whatever YouTube 51555, whatever you want to do, and that was really good. But then Eric, we all went into Central Park, but Eric and Billy were having some interviews with folks, and one of them is getting edited right now, and is going to go up pretty soon. The guy was a lawyer, and probably about a 20-25 minute walking through the park, man. And Eric was just having this great conversation, and I'm loving it. Somebody made a comment to me. He's like, you seem like you have like more of a fire in your belly. You got this energy, and I'm like, I really do, because I'm not having to do everything, and that's what I've always wanted. Right. It's like, look, Candace is crazy great at what she does, making things happen and pulling it all together, and behind the scenes doing scripts, working on helping making radio scripts and devotion type stuff, but a jack of all trades. And Billy with the bus and getting it out. I mean, and Eric with the on the street stuff. Eric is great on the street, just engaging people and just getting up and having these conversations and making people feel comfortable enough to talk with you. Because come on, New York, and you walk up to somebody, hey, can I talk? There's a special gift in being able to get somebody to take the time to walk 25 minutes and talk with you. Yeah. And at the end of it, man, this is a really good conversation. I want to stay in touch. Yeah. And that's what happened.
I have a good friend from New York, and he once told me, because we went there a few years ago, he said, they won't ever start a conversation with you, but if you ask and start talking, they'll be very genuinely nice and so that's cool.
That was really good, man. Yeah. So New York was phenomenal. But like I say, Eric and then Juan, oh my goodness. He and I, then we got to, from New York, went to Atlanta, spoke at a camp there, Equip, which going back next year. Yeah. I'm going to go speak at the Equip camp next year. We got that booked off, so I'll be there. I was only able to do one day this year because of the schedule. But then next year we're going back for the whole week. But that was super good. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, is it supposed to be going this good everywhere? I mean, it really is. You get a little bit nervous here because it's like, this is really good, this is really good, this is really good. And then we went out to Iowa. Juan and I were out in Iowa teaching a college class for the first time at Faith Baptist Bible College. I cannot more highly recommend a college. I'm going to tell you right now, I love what they're doing. I love the people that I've met there. I love their heart, their stand on the word. We're now going back next year, and we're going to do one class next year and possibly two. It looks like Juan's going out to do something for their seminary. They've just really embraced us, and I guess that's cool too. I guess that's another reason I like them. But what I really like is just the fact that the kids that they have there are good, solid kids. And we had 13 kids in our class this year, and they were happy with that. Next year, he said, man, I want 20. And he said, ultimately, I think we can get this thing to where we got 40 to 50. And for those of you that he said kid, he's calling them goats or whatever that is. Dude, I'm not meaning that. Young adults. Young adults. We had these young adults in there, and I did some exit interviews with them, and we'll put some of that up.
Yeah.
So that you can hear directly from them.
Yeah.
Great feedback, honest feedback. That's what I wanted. But I was totally encouraged by the feedback that we got, because I asked them, what can we do to make this thing better? And they identified like about four things. And it's so cool. Juan and I had already talked about it. I was like, Juan, what do we need to do to make this thing better?
Yeah.
And we had identified 3 of the 4. The fourth one we didn't identify, snacks.
Oh.
They want snacks.
They're college students.
They want snacks. I'm like,
of course.
Okay. So we can do snacks. And that came up multiple times. That was like the biggie, man. I was like, okay, snacks is the biggie. We can do that.
I saw some of the video, and one of the things was that they said was just, it was a lot of information, which it is, because you're packing, a lot into 1 week. And so it's kind of an overload of information. Sometimes I feel that even listening to one of your talks. Yeah. And so, to have those back to back, you and Juan both, it's a lot.
It really is. I mean, you're 8 o'clock to 4:30. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are long days, and it's a college class. They're getting 3 credit hours for this class. So, they told us, look, guys, you got to bring the information.
Yeah.
And so we did. Next year, again, I think one of the things we're doing, we've already talked with Mark, our contact of faith, and we've already 95% certain that we're going to be able to take a road trip and take them to the Omaha Zoo, and apply some of the things that we learned. But I loved working with Juan, because Juan's got this philosophical, logic. If P is Q, then R is this.
And his book. Read his book. That's what I read it. It's like a textbook, but it's really good.
And I'm like, man, it's weird. I use the arguments, but I don't understand that.
Sure.
I don't do the
P's. It's in there, yeah.
But the way that I argue is, it's like, oh, Carl, but you're using this argument. I'm like, glad I'm using it. I don't know what it is, but I'm using it. So it's really just logic. If you're logical, you're going to fall into these things here. So that was that, and then finished up at a church there in Cedar Falls, right? Cedar Falls?
I think so.
Something like that.
Something Falls.
It was someplace false.
It was in Iowa.
It was Iowa. Great people. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Pastor Steve was so kind to us, and the people at the church were so kind to us. So it has been crazy busy. I take off tomorrow for Seattle. We got, in the next couple of weeks, we got the dinosaur dig coming up. So guys, if you want to do that, this is about the last chance you're going to get to sign up to come out and dig dinosaur bones with us. You can do that at the RFORH.com website. Just go to the store, type in dinosaur dig. Yeah. But yeah, we're still busy for the next 2 months. It's like super crazy busy, but good things.
Yeah. Good.
You feeling any better?
A little bit. Thanks for the recap. That was good. So.
Yeah, there's so much more. There's so much more. All I can tell you is I'm overwhelmed. I mean, I am overwhelmed at the opportunities that we're being given. I'm overwhelmed by the responses that we're receiving. I mean, when you got Frank in Romania right now, okay? Pastor Frank and his wife April in Romania, they're teaching the archery, but they've already been speaking at churches. So Reasons for Hope message is in Romania. Juan is in Rhode Island this week, but he leaves next week for Columbia for the 4th time this year. So we're there. And he's also going back to the Philippines at the end of this year. So he's already been in the Philippines, Colombia 4 times. He's going back to the Philippines at the end of this year as a consequence of this last trip that was over there. Yeah. It's like we're not just doing stuff here in the States. It's global.
Yeah.
And we're dinky. We're just a tiny little organization that God is just blessing. I mean, it really is that. And your support is helping us to do that. The debunk videos were I'm not gonna lie, man. We need you to help us. If you could help us fund that. I think we're on the last one right now that we have funded. So we're gonna have to come out next month in July and do an ask like we did last year. And we don't like doing that, but you know what? Here's the reality. We have to let people know what we're doing and what the needs are. And if people get it, then praise God. So far, people have gotten it. But the ask that we're doing next month is going to be significant because we've never done anything like it, but we just had this conversation. It's like, guys, we've been doing this almost 10 years now. And there are some things that we know. And in order to address those things, we're going to even have to step up what we're doing even bigger and making debunked even more usable because I've said this before, they've always been meant to be a hook, but now how do you teach the people that are showing them to be able to use them? And that's what we have to do. That's what we're going to address. And so we need your prayers. Covet your prayers. Lift us up. Lift Miss Candace up. Lift Frank up over in Romania. Lift Juan up as he's traveling. Billy and on the bus. Eric's back home now. But Billy's still got some travel going on. Eric's got some stuff. Bob's bouncing around doing his thing as well.
Yeah.
So the whole team. Wade out in Minnesota.
Yeah.
He's the guy, man. I mean, we couldn't rub two nickels together if it wasn't for him making it all work, keeping it all on track. And Nick down in Florida. Nick is, man, he's helped us so much on the video side of things, Facebook, social media. So we have just an amazing team, and I am fired up. I am rejuvenated somewhat because it's cool to watch the Lord work.
Yeah.
So I know I did a lot of talking this time, but Miss Candace not feeling that well. So
one thing I was going to tell you, while you were gone traveling for 3 weeks, my daughter and I went out to the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
And as we were there, I just thought it really hit me, and probably you've thought this before because you've been there many times, but how God can take something that was a result of all the sin that man, had done, and here he still created this beautiful amazing place that literally millions of people go to. And it just was really cool and eye-opening that, wow, this beautiful, amazing place, it came as a result of sin, but God made it beautiful.
It's a record of judgment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a record of judgment, the death that took place because of the consequence of sin and rejecting what God had to say. That's what you see in those layers, but you're right, there's such amazing beauty there. It's like, so God can take the brokenness and make it beautiful.
Yeah.
And that is something that always hits me when I go out there, because I think that's our lives. We all have brokenness, and God can still use it to bring glory to himself.
Yeah.
He does it even with his own creation. So anything else, Miss Candace, while you get this last bit of energy here?
I know.
What would you want to share with folks? From your perspective, the last 3 weeks, what are you seeing? Because I get so engaged in it, man. I just do it because it's like, hey, I got to be here, I got to be here, I got to be here, and I just try and stay on task.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, flying over this thing, kind of looking down on it.
I mean, I'm always a little bit behind the scenes, and hoping that everything works out like how we plan it to work out. But then it's like, really, we have to leave it up to the Lord for things to really work out, and to see, like you said, like God was in this, and we saw him work in this and this and this and this, and just even in small ways, and it's really cool to see. So.
Well, and the fact that just being able to get to each and every one of those places.
Yeah, I mean, that in and of a feat of itself. Logistics. I mean, the logistics is a little crazy.
She made it happen, man, because it really was. It was like, okay, boom, bing, bang, you're here, but now you got to get here. Oh, I got to talk about East Harlem, East Harlem, those dear folks out there, oh my goodness. This is the story that I'll end you with, okay? So we take the bus to East Harlem. They're meeting in a building down on the floor that's on Main Street. And the hill, I'm not exaggerating, the hill is like this, all right? So we had to park the debunk bus on this hill. And the people right next to us were having a big old party, all right? And we were parked about 8 inches in front of this Ford F-150 fully loaded, brand spanking new truck. And so we put in there, and it's a shift stick, you know, I'm like, I am glad Billy's driving and not me, all right? So we get done, the meeting was huge. They were out on the street, hey, come on in, come on in. More of the people in our meeting in East Harlem were not saved than were saved.
Wow.
And they were just out, come on in, you know, come on in, we got food, we got this. And it was so good. One young man was in there, he's like, he was so honest, I don't know why I'm here right now. I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah.
And they were able to share and love on that guy. I mean, Pastor Hector is like killing it, man. I did an interview with him on Facebook Live. You got to go watch that. He's killing it. Their ministry is amazing what they're doing in the schools, teaching the high schoolers to go into the junior high elementary school and to pour into them, discipling, man, and then the high schoolers discipling. I love this guy. I mean, I'll go back there tomorrow to do anything we can to help these folks out, right? So the people over here having a party, and it was not your party that Christians would hang out at, okay? I'm just being straight with you here. The music was bad. People were definitely drinking, and by the time they were feeling mighty good by the time we finished up our part and we were coming out to leave. And I was just tired. So Billy said, hey man, just sit in the van. I'm gonna go in here and I'll be right out in like a minute and a half. Just, you know, I just say goodbye, because I'd already said goodbye to everybody. Let me pop in and say goodbye, then I'll be back out. So I get in the bus. The brake fails on the debunk bus. We're like maybe 2 feet to start off with. 2 feet is, you know, it was like this, dude. It was not a lot. And it goes boom, boom, and I'm like, oh no. So I jumped out of the bus, and I thought maybe my weight not taken out would stop it. It didn't stop it. So I jumped back in, and as I tried to hit the brake to stop this thing, bam!
Oh no!
It hit the Ford F-150, brand spanking new, loaded, with all the partiers sitting right out there, and I'm like, let's put it like this. I kind of stood out in this neighborhood. Okay, I kind of stood out, and I was like, I'm in trouble. And they all came up, and I'm like, guys, the brakes failed, man. And I'm sitting in the passenger seat. There's nobody in the driver's seat, so the big guy comes up, and he was a big guy, and he looks at me. I'm like, dude, the brake failed, and I tried to stop it, but I couldn't hit the brake in time. And so they all gathered around, and they're looking. Billy came out, and so Billy was able to, you know, pull it out, boom. And so now they're looking at the truck, and I'm standing there because I'm like, dude, if we did some damage, we got to accept responsibility for it, you know? So I'm standing there, and it was a little scary because one of the ladies had just a little bit too much to drink. And then she started making some claims. Oh, he was saying profanity and stuff like this. I'm like, no, I really didn't. And, you know, now the church folk come out, Hector's out there, Pastor Hector's out there, and they're like, nah, come on up here. And they looked at the truck, and there was no damage to their truck. I mean, it had, boom, boom. It had probably about 6 to 8 inches is when it hit their bumper. And the way that their bumper was, it sat up, that it hit the back of the van, bent in the engine part that folds up and down. And that was about it. So that was bent on us, but there was nothing on there. So eventually they said, oh, yes, go ahead, go. I'm like, well, thank you, Jesus. But I was scared, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, oh, goodness gracious. Now we got an insurance bill. We got all this stuff going on. We don't need this. But just in the course of that, what I'm praying is we had some talks, but I'm praying that even in that, then Pastor Hector was able to make a connection with the guys to get something. So even in the midst of bent vehicles, which Billy, hopefully he said he could beat it out, and now the lid shuts again. But even in the midst of that, you know, God's still in control, and he can still use that to get conversations going. So pray for them. They are amazing. I love them a lot. And I'll go back tomorrow, man. I would. Their heart's so pure.
Yeah. Cool.
So that was my scary part.
Well, thanks for sharing. All right, we'll see you next time. I don't know when next time will be, but
it might be next week because I'm home for 2 days next week.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do this again next week. Give you an update after Seattle.
Adios.
Hey everybody, Carl Kirby here. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, check out one of these other videos. Also, make sure you subscribe to our channel and visit our website at rforh.com. Adios.